Jordan said he and collaborators Dave Mansueto and Pete Spinda initially expected a shorter run.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of Alone Together Pittsburgh, streaming at you live from, obviously, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We are here. We are still here. This is episode 189 or 90?
89.
189, week 63, is it, or 4?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. What does it matter?
Cares?
What does it matter? It doesn't matter. I heard Pete on your headset. And
Doesn't matter. 63.
63. Week 63, folks. That's right. We're gonna make it to 200. You just wait and see. Well, the weather is changing. It is getting warmer outside. It's downright hot. There's summer storms. Spring was like what? In Pittsburgh, you get a 48-hour spring. But that said, the weather is right, and we've got a fantastic show for you tonight.
Weather's fresh, and so is your face, Patrick. You shaved that thing.
I did the clippers to it.
Yeah, it looks like a tidy trimming.
I did the clippers to it. I was gonna do the razor. I ran out of time, and I couldn't shave the whole thing to the bare face. I'm in the mood for a change, so I was gonna shave the whole face off, but I only got through step 1 of the 3-step process. That is shaving. But you guys don't need to hear that. We started the show 189. Oh, Pete, you trimmed it?
Trimmed it.
Is that scissors or clippers?
Both. Well, I put the wrong. I was trimming the side, and I had it too short, and I started to look too much like a goat. So
go to like Ming.
Yeah, it was like out of control. So I thought about shaving all the way, but I hate my face, so I try to keep it covered.
Man, you hate your face too. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just walked right into that one. Dad humor is what the show's all about. But yeah, dude. So this is a common mistake that happens in facial hair. You start on something and one side's a little lower than the other. Next thing you know, everything just starts tripping away. But I tell you what, you look younger and a little more aerodynamic, might I say?
You think? This one time I was going to just trim my hair. And I didn't have the clipper on, and I went and I took a giant chunk out of the side of my head.
Okay, what did you do? Did you tighten up the whole head, or just leave that?
No, I just left a giant chunk missing in my hair. I don't care what my hair looks like.
Pittsburgh chic.
I got a
little bit of punk, a little bit of sweet.
Okay, do you remember David Turkel was on the show way back in the day? His wife, Elena Passarello, has been on the show more recently. Wicked talented couple. But one night he called me, Elena called me one night, and he was like, "You have to come fix David's hair. He tried to cut it himself, and it's really bad." So I came over with like my hair trimming kit and everything, and I was ready to go because I used to kind of cut hair on the side. And I got there, and I don't know what, he was sober, and it was literally like if he was blind and like 2 bottles of like Jack deep into anything. Like it was just like the most jacked up hair. So I had to take him down to like a super high and tight with like a little bit more. Look at that.
Somebody say hi to Cruzel. We have our first actual watcher on Twitch.
What's up, Cruzel? This is what you've been missing, buddy.
You made a big mistake, Cruzel.
We're coming for you, Cruzel.
We're coming for you, Cruzel. Well, we've got a great show lined up for you tonight, actually. Doug Oster himself is here tonight. And he's got some new news to break, stuff to talk about, but he's also going to be able to answer your questions because it is finally time. I don't want to be out there to jump on a thing there, but it's finally time to plant. And Doug's here, brought to you from Farm to Table. If you go to farmtotablepa.com, keep it fresh, keep it local. It is Wednesday. We always have a Buy Fresh, Buy Local segment. So Doug is taking over the show tonight. So we'll get to that shortly. Before we do, a couple pieces of housekeeping ticking below us. That is our Venmo. It is @TogetherPGH. So if you have the means to kick in a couple of bucks, we would greatly appreciate it. Nothing is too small, and obviously nothing is too large. If you give $500 or more, you get to be on the show. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow, any night you want. So there,
$1,000 shows yours.
$1,000 shows yours. Literally, we give you the keys. Seriously, it's just yours.
Dave will still drive it for you.
Drag us over the finish line.
I got nothing else to do. I'll be here for you.
Okay, before we bring Doug out and talk about our in-show poll that's coming up to Jag off, I will say something about Dave running the show. Dave Mansueto ran a bare bones show for me over the weekend and also starred in it. And I just want to give him the props that's due. He probably won't want to hear this. The man ran a super intricate, high-tech show and also acted in it. And you can
now
watch
I got hemorrhoids. It's a tough scene. But you know what? It's worth it. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
The hemorrhoids? Or the show?
You bet. It's like an extra quirk. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's fun.
The show is called Tragedy of Tragedy, and you can catch Dave Mansueto. We're done with the live shows, but we took the Sunday show that we taped, and it's going to be airing on demand from now until Sunday. And you can see what Dave did. Dave, I don't know how you did it. Anybody that's watching that saw it, I know a couple people have that are watching right now. Dude, amazing. Could not have done this without you. So if you go to barebonesproductions.com, click on that little microphone there. That'll take you to it. Oh, what the hell, Dave? Show the video. Show the trailer.
All right, let's run that. I was wondering. I almost deleted it, and I was like, you know what?
One more ride.
One more spin. Here we go.
BBNC Worldwide brings you the only news that matters with our team, Constance, at the home. Our legal correspondent, Michael. Action reporting on the beat with John in the field. And the last honest man in American media, Frank, in the studio. Tragedy of Tragedy by Willie Eno, streaming live May 21st through the 23rd and on demand through the 30th. Tickets available now at barebonesproductions.com. Dave also cut that little trailer too.
So wait, so I can go to barebones.com now.
Yeah.
Buy the video version of it, like the recorded
you'll get a link, and it's basically Donna loved the play. That's great. It was compelling and tight. That's because of your son, Miss Mansueto. But yeah, it was so you can go there right now, click on it, you'll get a link, boom, you can watch it. But don't try to share the link because only one person gets to watch it per link. So if you buy the ticket and you send it to some friends, whoever, it's first come, first serve. Whoever.
How'd you figure out that technology, Patrick?
The ticketing service.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they had their own thing. It's
one of those COVID updates, like upgrades that like Eventbrite or something does.
It's Ticket Spice is what we used for this one. I've used ShowClicks. I was one of the first 5 customers for ShowClicks back in the day. I was one of the OG. Yeah, I'm old is what that means. That means like it was new. You know what I mean? But
they were Pittsburgh. They're not still Pittsburgh based, are they?
I don't think they're. I mean, they still have offices here, I think.
But they were like bought out by like a larger company.
I think
right?
so. Yeah. But yeah, we're old school with ShowClicks. But yeah, so this is the first time we didn't do it because they didn't respond to any of our emails. Because this doesn't matter if you were in the top 5. But yeah, not anymore. Everything's changed. But yeah, so we used that, and it was kind of cool to do that for the streaming thing. I was on a Zoom call today, and somebody was pitching something, and there was a couple people that were pitching this thing to this board. And it was this like thing, and they were like, "Well, we're trying to make it like these festivals, and like Susie, what's that really weird name, silly festival that you like?" And she was like, "Petonkatonk," and I'm like, "Tell me more about this weird sounding festival, Petonkatonk."
So who said that?
Well, it's just there was a girl from an ad agency that was pitching something to this group of people. I'm not gonna say it because there's NDAs, but yeah, so Petonkatonk came up, and like my ears perked up. Any new news on the Petonkatonk front before we bring out Doug?
Well, I announced the first round of artists, so that's the old website. I don't know where you're getting that from, Dave. But
the internet, nothing goes away on the internet.
No, well, so it's currently being updated because I had some malware and malware and
So now your computer's got a virus, Dave. That
looks better. That looks better.
Yeah.
The website caught a virus.
Yeah, I had to deal with that today. I had to pay like hundreds of dollars to get a security update to my website because it was redirecting to people to like pharmaceutical websites and other stuff. So But I did announce the first round of performers last weekend. So we got Big Blitz, who have been on the show.
Love Big Blitz. Big
One
fan.
Hood is going to perform.
Oh, awesome.
I've got Son Rompe Para from Mexico City. And then Combo Chimbita from
I saw you post their picture. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just today secured Rebel Diaz is going to come back. And then I'll have more announcements. I'm waiting to announce the next round this weekend. So I'm hoping to have.
Has Stefan with the Chevaps been announced yet? Has that happened?
That's not going to happen due to COVID. I thought like everyone would be weirded out by doing the big potluck thing. So I'm actually going to have food trucks this year. So I've confirmed the steering wheel is going to be there serving burgers. Shadow Benny's going to be there.
Love Shadow Benny.
Yeah, doing the doubles. And then I think Spirit's going to come and do pizza. And I may have a fourth truck or like vendor. Waiting to hear back. But so yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and then East End Brewing is going to do a beer for us too. So and they're going to come and run the bar. So it's going to be a little different this year because of COVID and all. Like I think I just didn't want to like. I didn't want the potluck kind of like.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I feel like people aren't quite ready for that. I'm not ready for that yet. So
plus, if you stretch it out, I mean, you've got like it's September, right? So we've still got June, July. You still got months.
99 days. 99 days from today.
99 days. Isn't that something?
Hey, we're now passing around.
What's that?
I said
we're now passing around 98 days on the day. That's great.
I was thinking more like 99 days and
what's funny is we're seeing the light at the end of this friggin' COVID tunnel. As we've been doing this show, I mean, we basically went from absolute fear to total fear to a moment of hope and then absolute ridiculous fear. And then just somewhat kind of scared. And then like, oh, we're getting the hang of this. And then fear again. And then,
it's weird to go out and see people not wearing masks like in stores now. It's kind of freaks me out.
So that's already started in stores?
I mean, I was at a Target the other day and I was at a Lowe's and people weren't wearing masks in there. I mean, I still wear my mask out of respect for the people who aren't vaccinated, but they're cowboys out there.
Well, dude, I mean, I remember in the thick of it, I had to do a Home Depot run and like there were people with masks, but everybody that would pull their masks down to talk to everybody and be talking on the phone with their masks down. It just anyway, the whole mask thing drives me crazy, but hopefully, I mean, maybe we could do one more round tomorrow of everyone's favorite game show, maybe it's time to put that to bed. I don't know.
It's weird. It's just weird to see people going into buildings with not wearing masks. Like, I mean, I'm fine with it. I'm vaxxed, so I'm not too concerned, but you
can still get it. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's like
did you hear the Yankees like last week? Like 11 members of the Yankees tested positive for COVID, but they were all asymptomatic or whatever.
Bill Maher as it happens, and you can carry that stuff in your nose. You can still spread it. I mean, there's still stuff to it. Like the fact that 7 members of the Yankees tested positive, and they were all fine. It's like if you take a flu shot, you can still get the flu. It's just not as bad.
Right.
So but this vaccine.
Who knows? I also heard that the county for Heartwood Acres is opening and
outdoors.
Like all the outdoor concerts are happening. But I heard there's going to be. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that they're going to do a vax section and a non-vax section, where the non-vax section is going to have to wear their masks. But my guess is people who choose not to get vaxxed probably don't give a shit about masks either. And so then it's like, how are they going to like monitor that? Like,
there's no way of doing it. I know like some ballparks and stadiums are doing it, but at this point now, the vaccine, it's so readily accessible. I mean, I would say it's the best thing you can do. I mean, right now there was 76 new COVID cases in the last 24 hours in Allegheny County. Now, that's friggin' awesome compared to what it's been for the last 8 months. Right. However, if you go back to us a year ago at this time, it would have been like, oh my God, we're at 86.
Right.
I'm sorry, my computer's going nuts.
Well, yeah.
So
I heard the Brewers. I heard today on NPR that the Brewers are doing a thing. If you get vaxxed outside of the stadium, they'll let you go to the game for free. So that's kind of a cool promo. I don't know.
I'll just take what it can. But I mean, I would just go with what John Travolta would say. You know what I'm saying? Mansueto, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think he does. I don't think he has any idea.
You're that Just get the shot. Just get the shot.
I haven't watched that movie in forever.
Well, tell you what, go back. It's a precursor to what we're living right now. Get the shot is what they should have. They shouldn't have called it Pulp Fiction. They should have called it Get the Shot. Anyway, real quick, before we jump into that, I want to give you a shout out to Engine House 25 Winery, who's actually sponsoring our in-show poll tonight that we have also dedicated to our guest, Doug Oster, who's coming up in a minute. But if you go to eh25.com, that's the website. You can see Dave scrolling through right there. Some of the best wine you are going to find anywhere. They've got reds, they've got whites, they've got blends. The grapes come from Napa, Chile, and everywhere in between. It's not like Mon Valley grapes.
Pittsburgh, we love you, but you don't want those grapes.
Unless you want to make jam. You can make jam out of them. But I'm talking beautiful labels. The wine's delicious. You cannot go wrong with it. EH25.com. And they're still doing free delivery until this pandemic is over, which is going to be ending soon. So if you want to get on it, now's the time. That's free delivery in Pittsburgh area, not outside of the 412. Also, if you say you found out about them from Alone Together Pittsburgh, you get $5 off per bottle. That's $5 per bottle. That adds up to $5 per bottle. So get on that right there. You cannot, I will put my name on it. You cannot find a better wine around here than that. So do that. So Dave, let's talk about the in-show poll.
You want to do it, or you want to wait for?
You want to wait for Doug?
Yeah. What do you think?
Let's wait for Doug. Let's wait for Doug before we launch
like
that.
A fun move.
All right. Well, it's a fun move. Did I leave anything out? I just got sidetracked. Pete and I started, chatting. Do we leave anything out? So. We're good.
I think we're good.
All right,
I saw Lola's is open. I drove by the other day and there were people sitting outside eating.
What was open?
Lola's Eatery.
Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, they got the spot for it. So I mean, is this the 31st? Is this happening where it's just like everybody's open, but you still got to wear a mask inside?
I feel like it's already happening. I'm seeing like people posting inside of Cavo and like all the clubs, and people were out like partying like there's no tomorrow. So. Well, I guess, yeah, they're just going for it. I mean,
and they're going for it. That's fine. I mean, the vaccination thing, though. I mean, I just wished everybody.
Maybe it's a way to thin the herd.
You can't send your kid to a school unless they get like the polio vaccine or the measles vaccine. You just you can't go to, like, you have to do that.
My kid got vaxxed last week. She got her first shot.
Congratulations. That's right. She's old enough. Yeah. My niece that's the same age got her shot too, at her school.
And I heard they're going to drop it down to like 8 or 10 soon.
They might. Like I heard there was a doctor from UPMC that was on one of these several thousand Zoom chats that I go to. This guy was amazing. I forget his name, but he was like awesome. Just rapid fire, real deal answers.
Are you sponsored by Zoom? Sounds like you're on Zoom all the time.
Dude, aren't you?
A couple times a week, maybe. I try to not do it if I don't have to.
It's sponsored by Zoom, but it's not like people are like doing StreamYard for their office meetings. Everybody's.
I wish I could do decks through Zoom. I would do that. It would be like.
Wait a minute. All right, fine, Doug. I'm sorry. We're gonna get to you in a second, but Pete did some work.
No. Let's get to Doug. Doug's more exciting than this shit.
He is. He absolutely is.
Well, let's
He's one of our favorite guests. All right. Dave, it's time for it. So this is brought to you by Farm to Table Pittsburgh. Buy fresh, buy local. Segment. Right, FARMTOTABLEPA.com. Here he is right now. He's got stuff to talk about. He's going to answer your questions. So if you've got any, get ready for it. But before we do that, we're going to find out about the new community garden, Orchard Park in Duquesne, and find out about a couple other lectures that he's doing. Here he is, without further ado, Doug Oster.
Hey, what's going on? What have I walked into?
I don't know, Doug, but welcome back, man. We're happy you're here.
Most of the places I'm going to, it's mixed on a mask. It'll say it on the outside, but then once you go in, you got to check it out and see and ask, like, are you guys wearing? Yeah, okay. I've been outside at nurseries where you have to have a mask on, and then I've been inside at places where you don't have to have a mask. So it seems that every place is a little bit different.
Yeah, and there's just the messaging. It's just from the start of this pandemic, it's just been kind of a little off. So what it was, I was talking to Dave about this before, but just in the progressions of what we were doing on this show, when the show started, we had different people singing for 20 seconds while washing their hands as the most important thing. So we had opera singers and Broadway Tony winners washing their hands at the sink for 20 seconds. And then that parlayed into the mask wearing era. and then it turned into the nose out shaming. And now here we are right now. It's just the confusion of are you vaxxed? And everybody's on the honor system. It's weird.
Yeah, we know how that's gonna work.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, I'm vaxxed. Sure. Yeah.
Whatever. So let's talk about gardens.
Within the herd. I don't know, man. I hate to say it, but I think it's true. I think there's a lot of people that are going to say that they were vaxxed and aren't vaxxed, and they're going to just go out but I don't know. Like I could dive in and we could talk about the repercussions of people going out and unvaxxed and not wearing masks, but I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see, right? Like in a few months. I'm
with that. We'll wait and see. But what we cannot wait for is gardening, because now it's time to plant. But before we do that, Doug, I want to hear about this community garden.
Yeah, this is a cool garden. This is in an area called Orchard Park in Duquesne, and the Allegheny County Housing Authority got a $10,000 grant from Gateway Health Plan to build this garden. And I've been working with them to make sure this garden is a success. And the things we're doing in this garden are the same things you can do at home to have a successful garden. We've talked about it before. In this one, it's these big raised beds, and they're just filled with compost. And do the same thing in your garden. Just throw some compost in there and you'll be good to go. This is Dominic. He was one of the volunteers. He volunteered. His mother and his grandmother volunteered to plant this. And you can see this is the easiest way to create a garden. It's just build up, so they installed these wooden beds and just filled them up with good compost, and that's it. We had a lot of fun planting. And I mean, in that area there, we've got tomatoes, peppers, watermelon, squash, beans, herbs, all sorts of stuff. And with this rain today, we just planted yesterday. This rain today is going to make things look pretty darn good. And so this is definitely planting time. Get out there, whether it's just a couple tomatoes on the side of the garage, or you've got some space out there, get things planted. These community gardens, though, are important for the neighborhood. Fresh food is hard to come by. And so when you're going to be able to grow your own and just have this community space where people can come visit and pick and see what's going on,
how can people pick? Like once it's growing, is it just there? It's just if you want to come over and grab a couple of peppers, you can just pick them off the vine.
There's going to be a fence around there, but it's going to be pretty loose. There is an office area behind this, but the idea is they just want to make food available for people.
Gotcha. I gotcha. I mean, so as far as that is, you said good compost. Where can you get compost? Is there it seems like a lot of compost for all those beds?
Well, definitely. That's from a place called AgriCycle. They'll bring a truckload of compost for you. You could buy a bag of compost for $5 or $6. You can make your own compost. I buy a lot by the bag, but depending on how much you need. This is a cool place in Lawrenceville. I just did a story on them, and look at how they're building their beds. They're just laying cardboard down. This is a city lot in Lawrenceville, and they're using that AgriCycle stuff too. AgriCycle is a great resource for compost. They're taking all this raw material from restaurants and other places and composting it, and then you buy it. And when you plant in compost, that gives the plants everything they need. That's what gives you the green thumb. This is the thing that people a lot of times don't understand. When I get these questions about, my plants aren't doing very well, I always ask, what's the soil like? And people are like, what do you mean? It's dirt. What do you mean? And no, every time you plant, you just add a little compost and you're giving the plant everything it needs. That's 90% of the battle there. Don't let it dry out, and know when it goes in. You can plant anything right now. You can plant anything you want. There's no more frost coming. You can put in anything you love, and I do say, grow what you love. And when
that's a good segue right there. We've got an in-show poll tonight that we're dedicating to you, sir. Dave, do you want to rattle it off what it is?
It just occurred to me that everybody knows what it is.
Oh, you already posted it.
I announce it like nobody knows what. It just occurred to me. How many weeks?
60.
God.
Ladies and gentlemen, you think you're so smart, letting me hang out here like a real jerk, trying to pretend I got something tucked up my sleeves, and I got nothing. I got nothing but a jag off tonight. It's for all you people out there, you smarty pantses, with your green thumbs. Here we go. You're already voting. Let's just take a look. Let's see what we're doing here. Boom. Cucumbers, beans, tomatoes, peppers. It's a farm off.
What's your favorite to grow?
What's your favorite to grow? Looks like tomatoes. Looks like nothing basic about that. Tomatoes top of the heap. Beans. You live on beans and nothing else. You got protein. Beans are right for tomatoes every time. I don't know about that. Peppers. Oh, there we go. Movement for the peppers. We got ourselves a horse race, ladies and gentlemen. Keep going.
All right. There it is. All right. Thank you, Doug. Sorry. I just forgot we never brought the poll up. And,
I love the dramatic music.
Well, Dave just adds the drama wherever he goes.
I looked at it and I read cucks first, and I was like, why is that up there? I mean, that's a terrible internet stupid thing.
I've never heard dramatic music when tomatoes are mentioned, but that's pretty good.
Tomatoes are pretty dramatic.
Have you ever seen Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. There's your dramatic music.
They made a sequel to that, I think. They made a Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes. George Clooney was in the first one. Same. Maybe we should watch that next week. We'll just watch that.
Maybe you should sing the theme.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Yeah, that's what it was. It's been a while. But yeah, so anyway, sorry everyone had to hear that. So okay, so green thumb, composting is the key. What's in the soil is the key. What's what you look forward to growing first?
Tomatoes. It's all about tomatoes. I'm growing all these heirloom tomatoes. These are varieties that were, in the trade, so to speak, at least 50 years ago. And a lot of times it's just families had kept these going for a long time, especially during the 80s and early 90s. Everybody was forced to grow these hybrids. And nothing wrong with hybrids. I grow plenty of hybrids. It's just something that using conventional breeding techniques, they make this vigorous, cool tomato. But that we found out that we were forgetting all these great tomatoes that had been grown by families for years and generations, and so that's what I'm growing. I'm growing one called Heart of Italy. I'm growing one called 3945. It was found on a battlefield of World War II by a Pittsburgher. I'm growing one called Limbaugh Legacy Potato Top. That's another Pittsburgh tomato. But lots of these other just old-fashioned tomatoes, and they have a thin skin, real meaty, and just an amazing flavor.
Sounds like Pete. He wasn't listening to me.
I was listening.
What? Huh? So, tomatoes for me are the big thing, but I mean, I got all sorts of stuff out there. I grow year round in our climate, and I love what I get out of the garden. Not the harvest, but just the therapy. And during the pandemic, man, gardening's gone through the roof, and gardening has been my therapy.
I can imagine.
Did
your garden grow? I mean, did it go like? Did you expand?
It's not that I expanded it. It's that it finally got taken care of.
Right. So when you're busy helping other people out, doing different gardens, like you're doing the community garden Duquesne, you've got your shows that you talk about and everything. So do you find it hard to have time to tend to your own garden?
Definitely. That's the irony of being like a garden writer and garden personality, is that you also, like everybody else, have to wait till you retire to have the garden you want. But during the pandemic, during the last summer when we were in major lockdown, the garden looked better than ever. And it was a fun place to be. And I felt very lucky to have gardening, because it kept me busy. It's naturally, something you do by yourself, so you're not at risk. And it was actually, for me, it was probably my best gardening season, which is ironic since it was in every other way pretty terrible.
Yeah, well, silver linings whenever you can get them. So you've got one more lecture coming up, Farm to Table.
I do a free virtual organic gardening class, and it's tomorrow, Thursday at 4:30. And all you need to do is go to DougOster.com, and you can click on it there, or go to the Farm to Table, Western Pennsylvania site, and you can get in there. And we're having a lot of fun. And this week, it's an important one and something we can talk about. It's called succession planting.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big part of what I do in gardening, is not just planting all on the same day. It's continuing to plant to try and foil pest diseases and weather problems. When I say this all the time, when you put everything in the same day, and I know that you want to do that and get it over with, but you're just putting all your eggs in one basket and you're just assuming pest diseases and weather are going to be on your side. Anybody that's been growing for a few years knows that that's never the way it's going to be. You might get lucky, that first year you got fresh compost, you put the plants in. I put it all in the same day and everything was great. But when you do it for a few years, you realize that splitting up this planting time makes a huge difference in your success over the season.
Believe that. Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
You've got your raised beds and your crazy garden going on out there. Do you guys kind of rotate your planting, or do you do it all in like a weekend?
I wish we were that organized to rotate our planting.
So you're all the eggs in one basket kind of thing. So
this is only the second year we've done it. Like the first year, last year was the first year we kind of went crazy. And then this year,
have you planted?
Yes, I planted last weekend.
Do we have photos?
Yes, we do.
Dave,
I'm almost afraid to show them. I feel like Doug's going to be like, you did it all wrong.
What is this?
This is last year. These are videos from last year from all of our tomato plants.
Well, look at that. That's good. Oh, that looks great.
Yeah, that's last year.
I got to eat a lot of those tomatoes. You gave me a bag filled to the brim with some crazy looking tomatoes.
Having success your first year, that's awesome.
Well, my wife went a little crazy. Like she bought like 60 some tomato plants, so we just had them everywhere.
Do you do any heirloom tomatoes, Pete? Do you guys do any of those, or is it just different every time?
Oh yeah, we have I think she ordered like 12 different types of tomatoes or something like that.
I remember last time we looked at some of the names, and there were some really cool heirlooms in there.
Yeah, I just put a lot of those in the ground. But actually, what's funny is, Dave, I don't know if you got those other photos I sent to the team text.
I love the idea of heirloom tomatoes, though. There's just something like, romantic about it, timeless kind of a thing.
Especially when they have a story. I have a real quick one for you.
Please. Called
Radiator Charlie's Mortgage Lifter Tomato. and so Radiator Charlie has this radiator shop in the 1930s, at the bottom of a mountain. He's getting the trucks ready to get up over the mountain, but without any plant breeding experience, he crosses 4 of his favorite big tomatoes to come up with one that he sells for $1 a piece in the 40s. That's a lot of money for a tomato back then. Raises $6,000 and pays off the mortgage to his house. So that's Mortgage Lifter. Now this is looking good for as early as we are in the season, Pete. That looks
a lot of tomatoes.
So I only planted a couple in this one. So that we have like 5 or 6 different beds. So this bed I planted, is that kale? It looks like.
Yeah, it's kale or broccoli or something.
Broccoli. It's broccoli in that one. So I planted the broccoli. Yeah, and I planted a couple other small plants. But if you zoom in, Dave, can you zoom in a little bit? All this other stuff came up from what was there last year. I don't know if it just seeded or what. So all this stuff just popped up, and I think it's all lettuces, right? Is that what those?
Yeah, it looks like lettuces, other types of greens, but that's a good thing.
Yeah,
That's one of the things about sometimes gardening, letting things go to seed and letting them perpetuate the garden. And what's the soil there? Because it looks good.
So I got a compost. A friend of mine runs a community compost in Stanton Heights, and he said, come on over and grab some buckets. So I brought about 25-gallon buckets home of compost, and I spread it out through all the different ones. So these are some of those tomatoes you saw.
How many trips was that, Pete?
One trip? Just put it in the back of my van. Yeah.
It all fit?
Yeah. But yeah, so these are some of those tomatoes we showed that were in the spare bedroom last time. I put them in the ground last weekend. So
what's the spacing there?
That's probably about 1.5 feet.
Okay.
And then between the 2 rows is probably about 1 foot. Not enough?
I think Doug gave a little shoulder.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
They were tighter last year, and they.
Oh, I know. I remember you said with all those ones from last year, but in general, to keep them healthy, well, that's beautiful.
So those are Polish wildflowers my wife planted, and they just came back. So
Oh, seriously?
yeah, they just that garden we didn't plant anything in, and stuff's already coming back in that. So
That's
I just built those little fences around the.
That
Is
looks
that
great.
that's a new addition?
Because the dogs kept going in there and doing their business in my garden.
Oh,
we were getting
God.
pissed.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me on my walk out of the garden today. You got 30 by 40 feet, and the dog picks right in front of the gate.
Oh, the dog. I was just going to say, when you got to go, Doug.
Well, it's a good
Yeah.
deer repellent too, but let's save that for another day.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, Pete. My goodness, you've got a little ambrosia there. What else? What else you got?
I don't know what else we got, Dave.
So you guys are not just planting tomatoes. There's lots of stuff.
Well,
there.
so that stuff just came up. Most of the stuff there just came up. So those are the tomatoes that are in the trays. After I put the light on, I took your advice. I put the light directly above them in our grow room, and those all popped up nice and big. I have to put those in the ground still, but we're running out of room. So,
something to think about. Something to think about there. The succession planting doesn't really need organization. It just needs space. So you've got those cool tomatoes already started. I might be tempted to take a few of them and pot them up into, a big pot, get them going big and strong and in a protected spot where they can stay warm and such. And when you put them into that soil in June, when it's really warmed up, they're going to catch up to those other plants quickly, and they won't have the same risk of fungal issues that tomatoes do now. Like today, we've got this change in the weather. We've gone from hot and humid to a little cool and rainy. And when you get those cool nights, oftentimes the tomatoes can have that problem, have these fungal issues. And that's the only reason really that we are succession planting tomatoes, just to beat those diseases.
That's just a deck I stained. Go back to the last one, Dave. That's where I was not on the show last week. I was busy doing that. But so those are
some arborvitae trees in a deck I stained.
Yeah,
Pete, there's one thing I'm going to recommend here is getting a bale of straw or something and mulching all these. That way you'll preserve this moisture we're getting. You'll keep that soil evenly moist, and you won't have to water as often. And it will keep those fungal diseases, those spores, down in the ground where we want to keep them.
Okay,
it looks great. It's just like I said. Those little tricks, like the mulching, really makes a big difference. When I'm putting my plants in, it's a thick layer of mulch around them because I want to keep the spring rain as long as I can, so I don't have to water all the time.
Right.
That's open like that, and we do start getting to that heat. And if we got like we did last year, which was a drought, you're going to be watering an awful lot. Or should I say your wife's going to be watering?
No, I do most of the watering.
Okay.
So she does a lot of the planting, but I do the watering. Dave, can you zoom into the upper left corner, like upper left third? Can you scroll over and down a little bit? So if you notice, go up a little bit more. You were right
that onion, Pete?
Well, just to the right of the onion there. Those are all tomato plants that are coming back from the seeds. I'm assuming from the seeds are all the tomatoes that fell last year that we weren't able to get. And so we probably have another 24 just random tomato plants that are growing there.
Another thing to know about those is if they were heirlooms, they'll be the same thing. If they were hybrids, they're going to revert to one of the parents that were used, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But those volunteers are usually really good, man, because they have sprouted out there. They haven't had to deal with, growing in lights and all that. These are already hardened off and ready to go. I would take some of these and I would either move them or thin them out or find a good spot for them, because oftentimes those volunteers, we call them, are some of the best tomatoes in the garden because they've started outside. And and those are pretty good size for this early in the season.
Yeah, they just popped up. Like I went in to start planting, and my wife was like, "Those are tomato plants. Don't mess with those." And I was like, "Okay, I won't touch them." So.
And the color on them looks really good. They look stocky. They look ready to go. And in general, tomatoes love to be transplanted. If they can stay right there, that's great. But I would either move those other ones out of there and leave the best looking one so that it had about 3 foot around it. To do its thing, And then maybe some mulch, maybe a little bit of, there's a fertilizer I really like. It's organic. It's called Tomato Tone, and easy to find. It's like $8 a bag, and it just has, it's formulated for tomatoes. And you just scratch a little bit of that in there. That plant's going to go to town.
And as far as spacing goes, is 3 feet about the going rate of what you would do with these plants apart?
For me, that's a minimum, is 3 feet. Not everybody gardens that way. And if you're again, Pete, if you were very successful last year, those plants closer together might work fine for you. In my experience over the years, I have a lot of friends that go 5-foot centers. I don't have room for 5-foot centers, but you'd be surprised at a tomato that's all on its own by itself in good soil, how big it will get. You let them, when they start touching, that's when we have these issues where you'll have a tomato that'll have something, a fungal issue, and if it touches a plant next to it and you don't have good air circulation, it could infect the whole patch.
It's the story of my life.
It's good to know.
I was going to say something, but I thought I've made too many of those jokes today. And then Dave comes in from the wings.
got you covered.
Thanks, buddy.
And you don't think 5-gallon buckets are enough? You said this last time.
You said 15. I think 15 per one, right?
Yeah, a 5-gallon bucket, you can do it, but you have to water. I mean, you have to really water them. If you could put those 5-gallon buckets like into something else that was bigger that held water, so it would suck up water and you could just fill up that thing, a tray or something, you'd be okay. Your only concern is letting those dry out, because if they do dry out, you're going to get that thing called blossom end rot where the bottoms turn brown or black.
And that's where I decided to put baby formula in, because I thought they needed more calcium, because that worked.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this before.
I know. I bring it up because it's the pretty something that, a cautionary tale. What not to do.
I get that every day, Patrick. I get that every day where somebody says, what if I crush up eggshells? That's calcium. I'm like, yeah, that's calcium, but that calcium's not available for 2 years. And the calcium's already there. The water needs to take that calcium up to the plant. Right. So if you want to work at it, you can do them in 5-gallon buckets. I don't want to work that hard. I want
one plant per 15-gallon bucket is what is the recommendation.
And it doesn't have to be a bucket. It could be one of those grow bags.
Okay.
$7, $8 grow bag, and then you put those grow bags, kind of stick them together so they breathe, and so water can go between them. Now you've got bigger mass. You want more mass of soil, because the more mass, the less watering. That's the idea.
Okay.
And when you are choosing tomatoes for those containers, you would prefer a tomato that will be nice and stocky, indeterminate, we call it. Or do we call it determinate? Determinate. So it goes to a certain size and it stops. So, indeterminate, the ones that we mostly grow, those vines will go until frost.
Gotcha. Oh, wow. Yeah, something else for you, the dandelions, okay? I've had none since I picked them all and made the salad. I don't have any more in my yard. I couldn't go back to the well. I think I overdid it.
No, I think they're out there. I just don't think you're looking close enough, because they're always going to be there. All
right, I'm on it then. I thought I did such a good job of digging them up. Apparently,
I'm so excited that you did it. That you ate your dandelions.
I will do it again. When I see them. I'm sure they'll spring up here, especially after this rain here. Give them a couple of days, and I will go to it. Pete, you ever? Go ahead.
When you're thinking about planting, this weather is perfect. Cloudy, rainy. It's easy on the plants. If you're moving a plant, like we said, we're going to move some of those tomato plants. We pick a day like today. When I see this coming in the weather, I'm looking at my schedule. I'm like, okay, all right, I've got to be on the show at 8, but before that, I'm going to be out in the garden. I'm going to get some stuff out there, because this is just perfect. And these plants, they'll get in place. They won't be stressed out by hot sun on them. And, whenever you're planting anything, just try and give them a little bit of a depression so they can catch any rainwater. It just makes your life easier when we get into the tough stuff into July and August, when you might not get rain for a week or two and you are out there watering. And Pete's the watering wizard. The less watering you can do, the more fun the garden is, in my opinion. I hate watering.
I have a question for you about watering. So in the summer, like in the heat of it, what's the best time of day to water? Do you want to do it in the morning, in the
Always
afternoon,
in the
in the
morning
evening?
if you can do it. Now, I always say do it in the morning if you can, but if you can't, you're better off putting water on it, even if you're later, than not putting water on. One of the biggest mistakes gardeners make is not watering. If you can do it, if you got a job that allows you to get out there in the morning, that's the best time, because
define morning here. Like
anytime before 11.
Okay.
You know, maybe even a little later. All we want is the foliage to dry out. That's all we want to happen. So we're trying to water at the bottom of the plant. The other thing is soaking, not sprinkling, soaking. I mean, you want that water to go down deep, and you want the roots of the plant to follow that water down. And
Right.
and the other reason we do it in the morning is to get the plant ready for the day. But you know, often people say, like, well, doesn't it make sense to water at night because I'm not going to get any evaporation? And that's the reason we're not watering it at the end of the day, if we can avoid it, because we don't want water sitting on a tomato, a bean, anything, of zucchini, anything else that's prone to a fungal disease. If that water just sits on there 24 hours, then the spores can get into that plant system, and then they manifest themselves later. And so this is just ideal stuff. If it's dry for 2 weeks and you can't get out in the morning, you're better off to water whenever the heck you can water. You know, you got to get water on those plants, and that's why mulching is so important too.
So is it okay to water? Sorry, Patrick.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, is it okay to water in the middle of the day though? Like I heard some people say never. Okay.
That's fine.
Last year I watered mostly in the morning. Like I would get up and I would have my coffee and I would water the plants and make sure everything's like doing okay. But I was told not to water in the middle of the day because it would be bad for the plants. And then other people told me to water at night. So it's interesting you say this. So
again, the number one thing is get that foliage to dry off. And if you have to do it at noon, I mean, the downside of doing it at noon is you're losing to evaporation. You're not getting as much to the plant. When you do it first thing in the morning, that water's soaking down there. The sun's not drying it out, and the plant can use it in the best way.
Okay.
So when you're watering, would you prefer, like, let's say you have a hose, you've got, a 3-foot tomato plant. Do you spray the tomato plant? Let's say it's midday. Would it be better to go down to the bottom and just wet the soil?
Never spray the foliage.
Aha.
Never.
There you go.
It's always at the base. But again, what happens if you've got a 30 by 40 garden? It hasn't rained for 2 days or 2 weeks, whatever it might be, and you've got to get that whole thing watered. You're better off, even though we don't want to water on top, but if you only have a certain amount of time where you can't stand there and water everything, run the sprinkler on top. Yes, you're losing a lot to evaporation. You're not using the water the right way, but it's better to have the water on there, especially early on in the day, than just not having any water on there at all. And this is a problem people have, and this problem I have. Sometimes you don't get out in the morning, or you got to go. You got to go to your job early in the morning. Sometimes I do have to come back, but I'm careful about it, especially with the plants that are susceptible. And the plant that's the most susceptible to fungal diseases are tomatoes. There's no way I'm going to run water on top of tomatoes. I'll never do that. I'm gonna throw the hose at the bottom of the tomato. I'm gonna let it run for a few minutes. I'm gonna do another garden job, do this or that. Then I move the hose. Then I move the hose again, because even though that fungal issue will not kill the tomato, it slows it down, and we want as many tomatoes as we can get.
So Pete, don't water from your top deck. Don't just hit the hose and just kind of spray it up there.
No, I never do. I try to get the roots. So I learned that a long time ago.
I would totally spray from the deck. I bring that up because that's something that I would have totally done before I knew any better. Like I learned tonight, but I would have just sat up there.
When I was a kid, I learned to garden from my grandmother, and she told me you got to water at the bottom. And as a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, I'm like, well, it rains at night. And the top of the plant gets all wet. Doesn't the plant need to be cooled off too? That's what I hear a lot from people. Like, don't I need to cool off the plant by watering the foliage? No. Yes, it rains at night, but if you throw water on top, you're adding insult to injury. We can't control if it rains at night. There's nothing we can do about that, but we can control when we water and where we water.
Well, I think we'll have to leave it with that, Doug. This has been another fantastic time here with you. You can catch Doug tomorrow, 4:30. Register for it at FARMTOTABLEPA.com right there. Doug, you also have a KDK radio show on Sunday mornings, correct?
Sunday mornings, 7 a.m. If I have to get up, you have to get up too.
There it is. All right. Well, thank you so much.
We'll just stay up all night.
We'll just stay up
We'll have a
all
party.
night. And what are we looking at here, Dave?
This is my lettuce. I didn't do anything. I bought it at the farmer's market, and then Sarah planted it. But
looking good.
Who cooks for you? Came right out. I didn't do any of the sweat equity. You know what I mean?
And look at the different colors. That's cool.
But it seems happy.
It is.
I was just trying to join the party a little bit.
Looks
That's
good, Dave.
I got nothing. I think we're going to try to plant. We're going to get some tomatoes, hopefully maybe this weekend, and get those going.
Real quick, buy the biggest
Please.
plants you can.
Okay.
Go look through what they have there and get a few of the big ones, and you'll be so happy you did.
So I've got a few pots left over from last year with the soil from last year still in it. Do I need more compost? Do I need more?
You want to get that top third. You want to add what you can, and again, get yourself a bag of tomato tone. You'll thank me for that, especially for your pots.
All right.
And feed those pots all summer long with a liquid organic fertilizer.
Okay, you got it here. All right, so we're sending off. Hey, Dave, who won the poll?
Tomatoes. Hey, sign up for Doug's class here, right here. The link is out there for all you people on the Facebook.
We have a lot of fun.
And Twitch and the YouTubes. All right, so thank you all very much. Until we meet again, every Wednesday night, Farm to Table PA, we do a Buy Fresh, Buy Local segment. We can see fantastic people like Doug on here every Wednesday. Tomorrow night, tune in because it will be a murderer's row of regular contributors. We've got them all tomorrow, folks. We've got Natalie Besavenga doing 5 Minutes With. We've got Dave Bracey coming on with Local Brews. And we have What Kate Ate with Kate Romaine. We are jam-packing it because Friday is the Allies Ball Takeover #2 for Alone Together. This will be the second time
Big
we've
party.
been doing it that long. Big party, Allies Ball. Look into that. Get it rolling. We're going to be running that show on our network here. So check it out. The Allies Ball is fantastic. Allies is a fantastic organization. Allies Ball is fantastic. And it will not all be virtual this year. There is a live component. We'll find out more about that tomorrow night when Natalie and Miracle have 5 minutes with each other. So anyway, signing off for tonight. Doug, thank you so much. And everybody be safe. Go get that vaccine. Tell your friends to get it too. Talk them into it. Let's get this thing done so we can stop doing the show. All right. Thank you all. Bye. We'll see you later. Also, barebonesproductions.com. Get tickets to the show. See Dave act.
Heirloom Tomatoes.
Big ups to Cruzel.
Cruzel. Thank you, Cruzel. Yeah, Cruzel.
In the house.
Cruzel, did you walk out? Or are you still there? Cruzel's out.